Hooray! Hey! Hey! Hooray! Hey! Hooray! Hey!
Emotional abuse, domestic violence. This is Anne's story.
Anne is 14 and she's miserable. Her dad often puts her down. He shouts and swears at her and he's hit her. She sometimes thinks she can't do anything right. Anne's also seen her dad hit her mum. Sometimes, to try and forget, Anne goes out drinking. Sometimes, she hurts herself. She often can't face going to school. One night at the youth club, Anne tells her best friend about what's happening at home and how she's feeling. Her friend speaks to the youth club leader about what's making Anne so unhappy. He speaks to Anne about getting her help. The youth club leader explains to Anne that he has to tell someone else about the problems she's having at home. Although Anne is scared about what might happen, she agrees that this would be a good idea. A social worker comes to see Anne, who'd asked that her teacher be at the meeting too. Anne tells them what's been happening at home and how unhappy she is. The social worker has a meeting with Anne and her parents. They agree that Anne's been having a difficult time at home. Anne's dad agrees that he needs help to manage his anger towards Anne and her mum. The family agree that Anne needs some space while Dad gets help to manage his anger. It's decided that Anne will stay in a residential unit where there are other young people living who are also having problems with their parents. They have a planning meeting so that the key worker in the residential unit can find out more about Anne and about the problems she has at home. They try to work out what's the best way to help her and what can be done at home to make things better for everyone. After Anne has been in the unit for a short time, there's a meeting called a looked after review. This is where the foster family, or key worker from the residential unit, meet with other people who are trying to help, like Anne's teacher, health visitor or social worker. The meetings are to make sure that everyone is doing what they agreed to in the plan. If a child or young person has to live away from home for a period, these meetings happen quite regularly. They're usually informal and can take place at someone's house. Usually the child or the young person involved goes along to these meetings. If it makes the child or young person feel more comfortable, someone can go with them to the meeting, or someone can go for them. It can be good to talk to someone you trust before a meeting. You could even write your own report. During her time in the unit, Anne sometimes has a talk with her children's rights officer. It's their job to make sure that Anne feels that she's been listened to, and also to help if Anne feels her views have not been taken into account. Anne's social worker has also been visiting with her mum and dad while Anne has been living away from home. She's been working to help them understand how Anne was feeling and to help them figure out what they need to do to help her feel better. Because Anne's dad had hit her mum, he was charged by the police and he had to go to court. The court decided that he should have his own social worker to help him manage his anger. He meets regularly with his social worker and says that he wants to try to be a better dad to Anne. The youth club leader sometimes checks with Anne to see how she's doing, and her teachers like to check she's okay too. After a few months living in the residential unit, Anne feels more able to live at home. Mum and Dad agree that it would help if their social worker kept visiting to make sure that everything is still going well. It's everybody's job to make sure that you're okay.